Hey Lynn, do you remember that time I told you that I want to move abroad? I want to leave the U.S. and just move abroad and start a new life. Totally. Yeah, that was the look you gave me at the time. I distinctly remember.
Yes, so we're going to talk about that. What happens when one of you is ready to move abroad and the other one is like, absolutely not? Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
We get this question all the time from couples, spouses, life partners that, one is ready to go and the other one is like, I'm not going anywhere. And, to be truthful, we haven't always been on the same page. And, we face that sometimes even still today as far as the travel plans and the future. And so we're really going to talk about that today and hopefully give you some tips on how to navigate these conversations and get you and your spouse or your partner on the same page as far as travel and living abroad. So let's get into it. Hi, I'm Lynn.
Hi, I'm Jice.
And welcome to our channel,
GenX Quench.
We're glad that you're here. As always, before we jump into this full video, give us a like. That thumbs up button is right there. Hit that. Share this video once you get through it if you found it to be helpful. And as always, hit that subscribe button and join the Quench crew. We'd love to have you here. So let's jump into it. We're talking about how to get on the same page with your spouse or partner regarding travel and living abroad or whatever that difference of opinions may be for you in your conversations in your household.
Yeah, the first thing you got to do is reframe the issue. It's a process issue whereby you actually got to communicate and tell the other partner that, hey, this is something you're interested in. Most couples are not aligned on this particular issue at the same time. One may be feeling it at the beginning, the other one not so much. And you got to have constant communication to kind of talk through it. And getting on the same page isn't a one conversation thing. You got to have multiple conversations about this particular want and desire.
Right. And that first initial no from one of the partners, you can't just hang your hat on it. You can't just make it, don't take that as necessarily gospel truth. I think that's the thing is that it's a process, like you said, and it does take time. And so we have developed a framework. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's called the Same Page Framework because I'm not sure about Jice, but I love a good acronym.
Yes, she does. I can vouch for that.
Yes, after years in marketing and being in corporate, give me an acronym to remember something. So this is the Same Page Framework. It definitely will help you if you're a couple that is trying to navigate travel, living abroad, in these different conversations. But actually, we think that it could work for any kind of situation where you're not on the same page. And we're going to go through this, but I got to look at my notes. There are 8 steps on the same page. And S stands for set the vision. A, acknowledge the fears and the desires. M, you move through research and real information. E, experiment by testing the lifestyle. P, pace it because timing does matter.
Yep.
A, adjust through compromise. G, ground it in real life constraints. And finally, E, evolve into a shared plan. So this same page framework, if you take it step by step, will help get you from here and here to ideally maybe here and get you on the same page.
Yeah, and I would even say that, again, going through this process takes time. And I always say a slow yes is better than a fast no. So you're going to have to keep iterating, keep having a conversation so you get closer on the same page. But I'll kick us off with the S. So S, set the vision. So you got to define what your move abroad means for you. For instance, are you selling everything and just totally relocating somewhere? Are you doing part-time living? Are you doing slow travel? So you really got to decide as a couple or pair or partnership what that looks like for you. No one else can define that. So that's where the conversation comes in. You can't agree on something you haven't clearly defined. So
Right.
really, this is a step of defining what that looks like for you.
Right. And I think that that's a key point as far as really getting as granular as you
Right.
can.
Right.
Because I think that, Jice, when we started talking about this, and we're probably going close to like 2 years
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
this kind of evolution for us as a couple, where Jice was, I'm thinking about living abroad or leaving the US one day and that type of thing. Well, that's still a high level, broad statement.
Right.
And, that's a lot different than somebody coming to the table saying, I really want to sell everything and, not have a home base and live out of a couple of suitcases and travel the world. That's a specific statement versus, I think I want to travel someday. So I think that when you're setting that vision, if you are the one, be as specific as you can and know that the plan can change. But if you have a desire that you're bringing in front of your partner, you need to be as specific as what does that look like.
Right.
And that leads into acknowledging the fears and the desires. So from the standpoint of what excites one person, so, okay, you want to travel. What is it that is making you, what's the motivation behind that as far as you wanting to be excited about this thing? And conversely, what are the fears that I have as far as like, I'm not ready yet. I don't want to do this. What are you talking about? And, these are the examples of, basically looking at your life. The fears may be because of money and income and work situation,
Right.
Caregiving and family members. Do you have responsibility that you're taking care of others? Are there language barriers? And okay, you're talking about going to the other side of the world and we don't speak that language and I'm scared of how am I going to communicate and how am I going to navigate? Health, safety, my identity as far as like there are things that I'm secure here,
Right.
but I'm scared about what happens if we get in an accident, what happens if we get sick. Those are real fears that the person has. And so you have to talk about what am I afraid of? What does this really mean and what does this look like and where is the hesitancy coming from? Just as much as where is the excitement? What's motivating about you? Is this a sense of adventure? Are you running away from something? Are you really concerned about life here in the US that is causing you to do that? So, the A in same page, the first A is really about acknowledging the fears of the person that is hesitant, but also acknowledging the desires of the person that's excited and that's ready to go.
Yep. Next, what does the M represent? That's move through the research. And typically, the person who's most interested in moving is going to lead the research. I can talk for me personally. I definitely was doing my research. I'm an HR person, so I like researching things anyway. So I led that kind of movement for our particular discussion. You're going to need to bring back things like what's the cost of living compared to where you are now to where you're going. Research residency options if you're going to live there a long time.
Right.
If you're going short term, okay, what type of visa are you going to need? Do you need a tourist visa or something more, more elaborate like a digital nomad visa? What is the real experience like? And that's, trying, dabbling. For us, I've talked about it in the past, but doing the Black Expats in Panama tour was very helpful from an educational standpoint. I got to talk to immigration attorneys, realtors, doctors, insurance professionals. So I brought all that knowledge back so I could have a very well-researched discussion when I got back with Lynn to kind of tell her. And then later on, I said, hey, let's go. I want to introduce you to some of the same professionals. And you can have those discussions to show I'm not just blowing smoke. These are the subject matter experts. They can make you feel a little more secure in terms of if we were to make this move, we've done our homework and we'll be prepared.
And I think that the research, from the standpoint of the partner that is excited and wants to do that, they really do need to take on the lion's share of having that research and doing the due diligence to
Right.
bring it back. Because when Jice brought up all of this to me, I was like, I'm not sure, I'm not where you are, but I am open to finding out more. So I think
Right.
that for the spouse or the partner that's hesitant, have an open mind. Encourage your partner to find that information. It's kind of like if this is what you want to do for us, then you take that lion's share and you know, let me know. And some of it can be subtle. It was, you know, some of it was conversations. If he came across a article or a YouTube video that was directly addressing my fears, custom to me as far as knowing caregiving or finances, or, you know, he would send me articles about people that moved with their 80, 90-year-old parent to another country and how they were faring and they were doing okay. And, you know, I think that that's an important part because, one, it shows that not only is he interested, he's committed to that.
Right.
And he's, you know, invested in finding out more for himself, but also finding out more for me. But not doing it in a way where you know, rammed it down my throat.
Right.
But it made me also feel a little bit more secure knowing, oh, you really are committed. This wasn't just some random conversation one evening, is that you're doing the work, you're doing the due diligence. You came with like, I wanted to go do this tour and, you know, you don't have to go. I'll go with another friend and we'll bring the information back. And so I was like, okay, this is something I support you in this initiative, even if I'm not there myself. So that is just kind of the tip for the one that's excited about it and the one that's still fearful. Let the partner go get that information and be open to receiving it.
Yeah, and I would also say, you don't eliminate the fear, you inform it. So through
Right.
all the education, and if you don't have money to take a trip or a tour, I mean, YouTube is your friend. I've watched so many YouTube channels, looked at so many articles, bought books about moving abroad. So there's a lot of low cost, no cost kind of things you can do to do the research.
Right, exactly. That's true. But that leads into E, which is to experiment. You know, try before you decide. And by experiment, that really is traveling with intention. So you've gone through this, you've got a vision, you're acknowledging the fears and the desires, you're moving through the research. So now it's time to travel with intention. And what that means is, you know, these aren't vacations.
No.
You know, when you're traveling, if this is something, you're not necessarily staying in the resorts that are on the outskirts of town. You're staying in a neighborhood. You're living like the local. You may run into the grocery store. You're going to the local coffee shop. You're figuring out how to navigate shopping for items and households. And you may stay longer. So this isn't a Friday to Monday kind of trip. This is like, we're going to go for a week, for 10 days, for 2 weeks. And, you know, you experiment. And maybe if you're, you know, going to a country, if it's Mexico, if it's Panama, if it's Thailand, if it's wherever, you know, you're like, okay, what city am I going to go? Or maybe I'll go to multiple cities.
Right.
And you're plotting it out necessarily over, you know, a longer period of time.
Yep.
So, you know, we look at our calendar for the year and it's like, okay, if we're going to take 2, 3, 4 trips this year, we're being intentional about which one of these are scouting trips, which one of these are truly vacation because you still need that. And, you know, traveling with that sense of intention so you're not making a life decision based on a 4-day vacation.
Yep.
So you have to experiment with this. And, you know, some of the travel that we do, I'm leading the charge because I want to, you know, I want a vacation or I want to go here. Or Jice is like, hey, well, we've got this plan sometime in the future that we may want to live here and live in this specific neighborhood. Then, you know, the next trip that we go, I really want to stay in an Airbnb in this space. So I think it is an experimentation while you're still in this phase of getting on the same page.
Yep. And the next one is P for pace it. So timing really does matter.
Yes.
Alignment doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it's going to take things like life changes, emotional readiness, external catalysts, and I think external catalyst is a big one. It could be things like you're at retirement phase. Maybe your job's eliminated and now you're thinking, okay, it's a good time to leave. I've saved up enough. I'm good. Political changes, like back in the day when COVID happened, George Floyd, a lot of people, there was a big migration after that. People just didn't feel comfortable. So those political climate can impact it. Economically now with what's going on, cost of living's raising rapidly here. You can live more affordably somewhere else if you do your research. And family changes. Sometimes maybe it's a death in the family that causes a person to say, hey, you know, I want a clean slate. I want to go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. We've seen YouTube videos with people who that happen to, either a spouse dies, a parent dies, a sibling, something like that. And they say, hey, you know what? I just want a fresh start and start a new adventure somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. And so for a couple, any of those And some of those could be predictive. Not all of these have to be reactionary and that type of thing. So if you know that your retirement age and both of you will be free from work in 4 years, then that might be the timing that you have to work for, and you agree to wait until that.
Right.
If you know that, you've still got children in the house and you don't want to make the move until they're done with school and they're out, then that is a date. So I think the timing doesn't always have to be reactive, like waiting for a job to, you getting laid off, or someone passes away, but it can be predictive that, hey, can we wait until this one, and this one, tick the boxes, are complete and behind us, and then we can make that move. So I think that there has to be a conversation about timing.
But what I will say is, if you've planned accordingly, like we're having a 2-year conversation now, and we're, okay, let's save, let's do this, let's do that, let's start downsizing. If something does happen that's a political catalyst, or not political, a catalyst of some sort, and you've planned for a few years, you may be in a position to, your original timeline was 4 years. Now it could be 2.
Right.
Because you planned and done things accordingly.
Right, right. That's true. And that's why having the goal of a time out there and knowing all the steps that it has to take, because the other part is, if you work toward that, you might reach that goal sooner than what you have. So I think that, to the point, like Jice and I do have some timing and some activities and some actions that we know are in place. And some of them are, predictive that, okay, when this happens, it allows us to be a little bit more free. Right. Some of them are reactive. We need to wait until this happens. And if it does show up sooner versus later, then that's going to start another round of conversation. Right. So the timing and the pacing of it. So the P of same page is really about the pacing. And then that leads to A of the same page, adjusting through compromise. And it's not all or nothing. That's what I said, that when Jice was here and I was here, it's not really like he's going to come all the way to me overnight, nor am I going to get all the way to where he is overnight. So it is, and I think over the course of, time, we have gotten, together, but it may be a little bit closer to Jice. Sometimes it's a little bit closer to me. But it's not about all or nothing and compromise. So somebody might be, I want to pack up everything and just live out of 2 suitcases. But maybe it's slow travel instead of moving. Maybe it's 1 month at a time versus a full relocation to having a home base someplace else. Maybe it's choosing someplace closer. So yeah, you want to go on the other side of the world, but how about we go to Central America or South America first, or maybe to Europe versus going to Southeast Asia. So maybe it's a location compromise to start. And then, this one might be an extreme, but we've heard of this before. Maybe one partner goes first. Yes. And Jice and I have kind of, we sort of had it that if somebody gets freer or is really ready to go and you can financially make that happen, then maybe it is a situation where, you go ahead, you lay the groundwork, you go there for 6 weeks, I'll keep I'll keep the home fires burning, whatever the case may be, and you try it, and let's talk, and let's FaceTime, and let's communicate, and then you come back. So there are a lot of ways that compromise and adjusting what that plan is can help get you on the same page. And they may seem extreme, but it's whatever works for you and your partner.
Yeah, and I would say the goal isn't to win, it's to design something that works.
Right.
So again, it's not one size fits all. It's what works for you all.
Right.
As long as you're both happy with the decision and you plan accordingly, go for it.
And are willing to compromise.
Yep.
So, if that's the thing, is that, one person can't just put their foot in the sand, like, no, it's got to be this way. Right. It has to be, both parties have to be willing to compromise and to kind of find some middle ground. And that's all throughout this process of getting on the same page.
Right. Yep. The next one, G, is you've got to ground this in reality. You've got to address real world issues, things like money, income, how are you going to sustain yourself, jobs tied to a location, or if you get to a new location, are you legally allowed to work there?
Right.
Caregiving, again, for either children or elders, healthcare, logistics, all of those sorts of things come into play. Infrastructure. So you got to figure out those real world issues. These aren't excuses; they are problems you've got to solve.
Right, right. And they may be the non-negotiables. And so that's kind of the hard, those can be hard discussions, is that, I can't leave because I'm caring for a parent. I can't leave because I'm not pulling the kids out of school. We can't go because we don't have enough money to saved up to travel the way that we want to, or to be able to make this happen. So yeah, that grounding in reality and finding where the non-negotiables are, where the roadblocks are, you really have to have a list of what are those things that, we can't just ignore,
Right.
And not make an excuse for it. It's just the reality of your current situation and even your future situations for the next 18 months or 2 years, whatever that looks like.
Right.
So now that you've done all of that, the last one of getting on the same page, the E, is to evolve into a shared plan. And, that is decide what works for now. And you're having this conversation. If you've gotten to this point, you've stirred the pot. You've put everything out in front of you and your partner. You kind of know where each of you are, and you can have a plan that works for both of you. So that can mean, okay, we're going to make a full move. That can mean we're going to slow travel and travel part-time. We're going to delay all of this until a future date when we have some other things worked out, whether it's family issues, financial issues, work issues, we delay. Or we're going to make a decision that, you're ready to go now, go on and go and come back, but go and, see what this is like and let me know. So the goal is not really a perfect plan, but it's a shared direction.
Right.
And, I think that this is definitely an iterative process, and you're having to talk, but I know from a standpoint, personally, I think Jice and I are a lot closer aligned, but I think even from a standpoint of relationship, I think we're closer because we're working toward our future and what that looks like, and we're working toward it together, and he's listening to me, I'm listening to him. And there's not a lot of friction about this topic because we have, and it's taken, like I said, probably a couple of years for us to kind of get where we're in the same place. We know what kind of dominoes need to fall. We know locations of where we're really interested in, and it feels good to be on that same page.
Yep. You want personal story time?
Well, yeah.
Full transparency, we talked about it. It's been, 2-year conversation.
Right.
And for us, really, it's caregiving is a big factor.
Yeah, yeah. My 90-year-old mom lives with us almost full time. And so, I have told Jice, I was like, I'm not trying to take her all over the world at this stage, to deal with doctors and medical appointments and different language and that type of thing. And so, right now, that's a key thing that is keeping us here. Now, the compromise, which we've talked about from an adjustment standpoint, is that a couple of times of the year, she goes to visit and stay with my sister for 4 to 6 weeks or a significant amount of time. And, that's part of the compromise, is that when Mama goes, then Lynne and Jice go too. So, we hit the skies at those points when we know that she's not there, because it gives us that opportunity to travel. So that is one of our key things, along with work, because Jice, I do work from home. I have my own business, so I have that flexibility. Jice is still working in office and that type of thing, so that keeps him here. But, those are things that we know, but all of these kind of situations, and always financial, but they're dynamic. And we know that, in a sense, they're temporary, and we don't necessarily know when things will change, but we talk about them, and, we have a plan for that. But that really is some of the things that are keeping us from, totally traveling. And I'm not sure if I'm really in that point of just packing up everything, locking the door behind us, getting rid of everything, and traveling the world. So, I think I've said it before on this channel, I'm definitely curious about slow travel. I definitely would like to have maybe home base here in the States, and then go travel for X months and come back and travel for X months. But that's where I am today. Doesn't mean that that's where I'll be tomorrow. And, there are some times where I'm kind of like, you know what, let's just burn everything down. Let's take 2 suitcases and let's, go find some other tropical paradise and hide away. So I think that we can laugh about it because we talk about it, but we also know what the levers are for us. And we keep our finger on the pulse of those so that if they change, we can act accordingly.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else you would add to that?
No, I think you summed it up pretty good.
Okay. So hopefully, this same page framework. S, set the vision. A, acknowledge the fears and desires. M, move through the research. E, experiment and try before you decide. P, pace it because timing matters. A, adjust through compromise. G, ground it in whatever is your reality. And E, evolve into a shared plan. Hopefully the same page framework has been helpful for you. So sound off in the comments. Let us know where you and your life partner or whoever might be involved in this decision with you, where they are. Are you the one that's ready to go? Or are you the one that's kind of hesitant and laying back and being like, I'm not so sure? Because we get this question quite a bit. Yeah. And it is, I think, a hot topic. So we're excited about bringing at least our version of what we've done to you. Right. Hope that this is helpful. And, as always, if this is something that you're navigating, sound off in the comments. If you have questions, we're happy to do more conversations about this, have another video about this.
Or live, potential live.
Or live. Let us know if you want to go live. If you and couples and have a couple of cocktails and mocktails, and maybe we'll go live and we'll have this real talk as far as conversation with couples about living abroad. But hope that you all have enjoyed it. Do you have anything else?
Oh, that's it.
All right. So if you've liked this video, please give us a like. If there is another couple that's dealing with this or someone that you know that this could be helpful for, please share this video. And by all means, we are growing this channel. We cannot do this without you. Hit that subscribe button and become part of the Quench crew.
And if you like it, you're going to see a little thing pop up that says hype it. Hype it. So share with more people and more couples or families who are thinking about this move.
Yes, we definitely want to get this word out. So, Quench crew, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you on the next GenX Quench video. Adios.
Adios.
Bye-bye.